let's head out to the SCG. Lara Pitt and Cooper Cronk are on the black carpet. Lara, a very special evening ahead for some of our greatest in our game.
Braith, it is absolutely rugby league royalty turning out here at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and alongside me, one of our newest Hall of Famers, Cooper Cronk. Cooper, multiple generations of rugby league stars have arrived here at the SCG. I want to know, leaving the household tonight with your beautiful wife, Tara, what was it like for you leaving the kids, knowing when you return you've got that Hall of Fame jacket on?
I was just trying to keep the Vegemite fingers off the suit and try to keep clean on the way out. Look, to be honest, feel a little bit out of place. You look at the list of the people in the Hall of Fame, it's pioneers, it's people that changed the game. And I was a kid that grew up 20 minutes south of Brisbane, wasn't sort of destined to play footy, more hopeful than anything, landed at two very good clubs. Timing is everything, and I'm a bit of a reflection of the clubs, the players, the people I played with, but very humbled by it. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Over 126 players now in the Hall of Fame, over 100 years of rugby league. It's a very elite group, and you mentioned a couple of clubs. I want to ask about the Melbourne Storm and what it would mean to them to have 4 champions of their club inducted tonight.
Yeah, it's surreal. A club that started in 1998 to have 4 guys in the Hall of Fame. I think it speaks volumes of the people involved at Melbourne Storm, from all the early days of John Rebo, Ed Anderson, Stephen Kearney, Robbie Kearns, Glenn Lazarus. But then it goes on to what Craig Bellamy's done. You know, without Craig Bellamy, I can't speak on behalf of the other 3 guys, but I don't think this is possible without the leadership, the lessons of life and the hard work ethic that he put into us. So to Craig Bellamy, it's a bit of a tip of the cap to him, really.
There's a real Queensland theme amongst a lot of the inductees tonight. I want to talk about Billy Slater, because when we often talk about champions of the game, we talk about players who change the game, change their position. How does that apply to Billy? And even when we look at the way fullbacks play now.
Yeah. The best fullback we've seen ever in the game, the best fullback we will see in a long period of time. As you said, Billy changed the game, and if it's one thing that people have a legacy or an impact, is any fullback that plays from here on out will be saying, oh, compared to Billy Slater, because Billy changed the role. It went from a position that was catching the ball to understanding the defence, to becoming the line breaker, to becoming a try-assist guy, throwing long passes, short passes. It's basically a half with the fullback's speed and acceleration and the one on the jersey. So he changed the game like Cameron Smith did. Every dummy half that comes through the rest of the career in the next period of time will be compared to Cameron Smith, and those 2 guys thoroughly deserve every accolade that comes their way.
I want to talk also about Jonathan Thurston, described by one person one time as the odd couple. You did so many wonderful things together in the halves for Queensland and for Australia. I love the story that you once caught the bus together off to different schools at the time. Did you ever imagine that the 2 of you would do what you did?
No, that's a simple answer. We grew up a stone's throw away from each other, never really knew each other, knew that our paths had crossed at different stages, but the biggest rap I can give Thurston is the bigger the game, the greater he played, more responsibility, he wanted it. And basically when it came down to Origin or playing for Australia, all I did was pass him the ball and he did the rest. So he's a star. He's not only a rugby league genius, what he's done for the Indigenous community, he's an idol and a lot of players. And the one thing we forget about these players is that there's a lot of kids that tried to do the Jonathan Thurston show and go at junior rugby league across the country when he was doing his thing. So congratulations to him.
Yeah. And Benji Marshall, of course, we could talk about him. We could talk about all the inductees individually. We will see 6 women inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. We will see referees for the first time, coaches as well. But, of course, the big one will be the 14th Immortal. And, everybody has an opinion, and you pretty much can't get this one wrong. Cooper, who do you feel deserves to be inducted and into immortality tonight?
Everyone on the list deserves that spot. But one thing I will say is that I think Thurston, Smith and Slater will be immortals. They are immortals. And I think they deserve to probably go in at the same time. So if I had to choose someone, it's probably someone outside of that, but one of those 3 could definitely go in tonight. But I think what they dominated, same age, best friends, they dominated every arena they played in. I think it'd be very special for the game to put them all in at the same time, but I don't make those decisions. So anyone else on that list deserves it, but those 3 might get it tonight as well.
Yeah, well, you get to sit back and enjoy and to put that jacket on tonight. You are forever humble, Cooper, but we think you deserve all of this, and we hope you get to enjoy it with Tara tonight.
Thanks, Lars. Appreciate it.
All right, Braith, we'll be back a little bit later in the show with some more Hall of Famers here on the black carpet at the SCG.
Thank you, Lars. Doing a fantastic job as usual. And congratulations to the great Cooper Cronk. So 17 players, 2 refs, 2 coaches and 4 contributors will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But the big one, the next immortal. Let's take a look at the nominees. Bradley Clyde, Ron Coote, Laurie Daly, Brad Fittler, Ken Irvine, Brett Kenny, Alan Langer, Glenn Lazarus, Darren Lockyer, Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Peter Sterling and Jonathan Thurston. Now that is a fair list of players. They are the greats of our game. Very hard to choose one from all of them. Gordon.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I played against all of them but 3, and that's Sterling, Irvine and Coote. And I think, to me, Glenn Lazarus, you know, is the greatest front rower. I've played with a lot of great players. He's the greatest front rower, I think, in the last 40 years. Alan Langer, for me, is the greatest Bronco that I played with, and I've played with so many greats. And I think Bradley Clyde just flies under the radar. I think he's the greatest number 13, but anybody on that list could go in there.
Choose one. Choose who you think.
Who I think?
Yeah.
I think Alan Langer, in my eyes. To be small, to come from where he come from, a little train driver's son from Ipswich that, you know, just played above his weight. If you had all of his highlight packages, when Brisbane were under the pump, and I just heard Cooper Cronk talking about Thurston, well, he scored so many tries and you thought they were luck, but he did it every week and he did it every half. And there's no greater competitor that I played with than Alan Langer. And it's a big statement because Wally Lewis wore that jersey as well, but I think Alf's probably the greatest Bronco.
It's just such an illustrious list, Brad.
Yeah,
you could make a case for every one of those candidates. I was a huge fan of Glenn Lazarus as a kid growing up. The brick with eyes, what a player. 5 premierships at 3 different clubs. I think he was the first player to do that. And wherever he went, success simply followed him. Not only did he do it at club level, but then it also translated into success with New South Wales at State of Origin, and then also playing Test match football for Australia. Laurie Daly, who I know is a great mate of yours, Bulldog, I wouldn't have an issue whatsoever if Loz was inducted. He was such a dynamic runner of the football. His combination with Ricky Stewart will always be remembered and celebrated as it should as one of the all-time great halves combinations. And then the one who I think is a little bit unlucky is Ricky Stewart. There are 2 halfbacks on that list in Alan Langer and Peter Sterling. In my opinion, Ricky Stewart absolutely deserves to be on that list.
I agree, and Lazo's been lost a little bit in the mix. So we just saw some of his highlights. His achievements are phenomenal. You said he's the best front rower you've ever played with. A lot of people agree. Bulldog, thoughts?
Yeah, you look at that list, gee, it is impossible to split. But look, the bloke there running second on the list. 9 grand finals, he won 6, he captained Australia. The great Ron Coote. I can tell you a little story. In 1981, when the original Immortals were named, he was a Bees you-know-what from being named in 1981. So Cootie's waited 43 years and he's been overlooked 5 times to be inducted. Yeah. In my opinion, it's time. It's time for Ron Coote.
Why do you think he's been overlooked? We spoke about this last night, and like you said, Ron Coote's definitely one of the best players that's ever played our game. Everyone's got such a high opinion of him, who played with and against him. And is it a surprise that he hasn't been in there yet? And are you confident he will be?
Yeah, I'm confident he'll be somewhere in the mix, no doubt. Braith, look, I can't reveal why he hasn't been picked. There's just been probably better players. I've spoken to Ron about this personally, and he has been quite hurt.
Okay.
Quite hurt. So tonight will be a big night. He will be heartbroken.
He'd be devastated.
He will be heartbroken, but as we've just discussed quite openly, if you miss out to any one of those, you can feel, I guess, not so aggrieved in that you know you're being beaten by an absolute superstar.